Good morning, guys. Hopefully you can hear me okay because my connection is absolutely dog shit this morning. Not to overuse the term. If you're in the group, you know what I'm talking about. It's been a morning, so I can barely make out what Max is saying half the time. So there might be a little bit less chatter. It might be a bit quicker of a stream, but I would advise you guys go back and watch yesterday's. Pretty sure both myself and Max were taking this local high at 25, 285.50 and seeing what we get. And you did get that swing fail. Regrettably, I sleep at 2 in the morning. So is what it is there. But now we look at the chart and we see if there's a trade available, and we kind of take a look at it and see if this is another tap of resistance, or if we're looking for a bigger correction at this time and what we would need to see to justify that. So thank you guys for being here. It looks like I have 12 of you so far. Chat is going. So we'll go ahead and dive right into the charts. So same levels that we've been looking at right here on Bitcoin. You can see prior low at 25.2. Basically, Bitcoin, what people are looking at this as is probably some kind of ascending triangle, which, they're not incorrect. You have higher lows across the board, right? We can see that here, low, low, and low. And then you have this flat level of resistance here. Now, I do like my level that I gave at 25.120, and go to the hourly, and I'll show you what that looks like. And again, still no closures above the level. You could go down to like a 15-minute, and you can see, again, respect, respect, and respect. So 25.120, been a level for me that's on my chart. Even this was a pretty quick move too. So if you were awake to take it, really didn't give you a lot of time to get inside of this, because this was all of about 20 minutes before jumping to the daily pivot and the range low. So if you look at your previous day range, your previous day value area low is like 25 or 24,219, along with the EQ at 24,490. So you've got some support there. You can see that you've been coming down and tapping that region, front running a little bit of support that we have set up here on the daily. So if we got to the daily, you can see that there is a little bit of support right in this region. Okay. The question is, will that hold if reached, or will we come down and fulfill these lower targets and make a larger structure? It would be more bullish if it did not come down below these lows, in my opinion, at this time. I would like to see this holding if we're going to see any kind of immediate continuation. However, not a death sentence if it comes down to the weekly pivot. In London MPOC, you've got the gold pocket and September high below that, which effectively destroys this structure. So for me right now, you can't be looking for shorts anymore unless you get a retrace to the upside, right? We have to be looking for that. And if we get that retrace to the upside, we have to be able to gauge that reaction and see if this is a good bounce or a bad bounce. And one thing I want to hammer home is the levels. I've been giving you guys, feeding you guys 24/7. And this has been the level going into yesterday. What did we say in the group? I said, anytime we bounce at 24/7, we go to 25K, 25.120 in this instance. And in this case, you ended up making a new high. So 24/7 to me, still a very, very key level. Get back above this level, holding it as support like we did previously. Then, yeah, I do start to favor just another higher low and potentially trying to push again towards the upside. And I think at this point, you've done the high so many times that I would favor that if we reapproach this region, that we go higher at that time. And this just looks like a consolidation beneath resistance at that time. But the moment we start breaking the structure to the downside, giving up these local lows that are set in, right, I think a fast drop could definitely happen. We talked about that yesterday. Max had kind of insinuated that you have a lot of buyers up here, which that's what a ascending triangle represents, is there's not enough supply market to push it lower. Buyers are buying it up quicker and quicker, right? However, where does that begin to look incorrect? It starts right about here. You can see that it would destroy that structure, and all those stop losses are likely beneath these lows that have not been taken. And you would just start to see a quick move into this gold pocket and September high. And then the question is, does it bounce there or continue down towards our overall low at 21,468, 22,810? You're going to make a new low, probably go try and hit the old monthly pivot that we never tapped, right around 21.2, just beneath this low right here, somewhere in this, I believe, is where that's at. I'll pull it up real quick. you know, as we are pretty far along in this month. So I'm not really looking at this as a target anymore unless we really start getting a move to, you know, so lots of support to work through, just like we have to work through. So still looking for a push up myself until proven otherwise. I'm pretty much a purist in terms of market structure. And so maybe Max has something to disagree on that with. I'm not really sure this morning, but I'll probably toss in an ear pod and listen on my phone because I'm not going to be able to hear on this one. So if we go over to the SPX, you can see that it is giving up the 12M1. So unless there's like a mid-morning reversal here and reclaims 4,049.89, which, you know, it's been known to do. It's been known to trap people like that before when it opens up to the downside and then you just get a full-on reversal to the upside. That's happened, you know, so it is one of those things where we have to kind of wait and see. You've got FOMC meeting tomorrow, or not meeting, the minutes. So for me, it's going to be kind of a telling day, but you guys know how I feel about that. We kind of talked about in the group that, you know, trading the news is difficult because it really isn't much of an edge. So when everyone talks about the macro, I've kind of taken to the stance now that we're past most of the rate hikes, even though I think they might actually surprise us and adjust their target rate a little bit higher after some of the most recent data. You know, that would be kind of a wrench, but I'm looking at it as trade the chart, not the news. The chart and the order flow is going to give you guys the setup. You know, regardless of your take on the news, you're going to want to use some kind of technical analysis to get in that position. So always make sure that you're falling back on solid TA and solid risk management. I don't have much else to offer on this one. We've come down to the previous day range. If you guys were looking at this as an overall range, you certainly could. You could say this structure here, and you could just pull a volume profile like so. You can see that this is your breakout right here, and we could just come on over, and you can see that you're basically closing inside and outside of this range, primarily outside of this one dip right here off the initial touch, which is usually the biggest one anyway if you're going to get a reaction. And now you are range bound. So front running the val a little bit here at that support level we were just talking about in this region of the chart. So I could transfer this box over probably, and locally you would have this. So you can see why support is lining up there and why it's kind of an important area to hang on to. Then if we lose it, I would expect to take this low probably, personally. And I believe Max was talking about the gold pocket before we started. So I believe it was the local one high to low that he was just on about that we just came down into. So that is your technical front run. So there was something here to suggest that there would be, you know, a little bit wider zone of support, but we'll see what we get, you know, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the content and enjoying this price action, because it's, yeah, it's kind of interesting. We're on the verge of doing something we haven't done in a long time, which is breaking out above this 5K zone and still trying the weekly on the weekly time frame. So one thing I want to highlight here is, let's get rid of this stuff so it's a little bit cleaner, is that weekly swing fail. Again, got to have this level, right? 24/7. You can see it over and over, but we are up here. We are pressed against it. So I think continuation is the name of the game. If we're going to get it, it's going to be probably this week or early next week, if that is going to happen. Otherwise, I would expect a drop. You know, point blank, you're looking for a drop. And, you know, weekly open is also lined up with that box we were just talking about. So if we go to the weekly open, you can just go ahead and mark it out. You can see that I've been kind of lazy with my weekly opens for a little while now, but this one is very relevant on the chart. So I would just use that in confluence with the box we were just talking about. Maybe the box we were just talking about right here. Go down to the 1 hour, and there you go. There's your weekly open. There's your range low, and you have your consolidation. So we'll see what we get. And the other thing I'll add is, anyone that's in the group hasn't gone through the fork module yet, definitely do so. This is the one that we've been working off of from the prior session, high time frame, and it is getting things absolutely clutch. It did front run the median here a little bit, but that's okay. But still getting good reactions off these levels, dividing it up, and also getting the highs very well. So the trend is doing, this is doing what it's supposed to do. It's doing very well. So I'm going to turn it over to Max. I don't have anything else to add to that.
Hopefully my mouth moves when I talk.
Yeah, I can hear you right now.
Oh, voila. So yeah, it's been good if you were there at the trading station ready to take your trade. So the one trade that I've actually taken today was a long, and I'm gutted I missed the short. I was actually at the gym, absolutely raging because I wanted it for so long. But the reason I took a long, and the reason you could kind of tell that price was going to go up to the highs, was when you were looking at this price action, from the start of the day, you got below the VWAP, and when you were below the VWAP, you weren't really losing any, strong level, which would put a load of longs underwater. You were actually drawing in a ton of shorts, and you can see you had a very minor bullish divergence between this low here and this one here. And you can see it was actually a trap traders type of divergence. So there's two types of divergence. You've got positions changing hands, and you've got trap traders, similar to the SFP situation. And this one was you've just got a ton of shorts entering. And there was a ton of shorts entering, not really doing anything with price. And they were pretty quickly put underwater. So you've got plenty of chance to get into a long below the VWAP if you wanted, but then you're also given your confirmations above the VWAP when you back tested it, a couple of times. First TP was hit pretty quickly, and then you bring your stop loss to entry, and then set your other TPs, which in this instance are of course the highs, because you've not really got any other levels here, so you have to put your TPs at the highs and just sit it out. Now, obviously, when you had the move up, the really telling sign with this SFP was the fact that you had positions changing hands going into the move and in the move itself. So if you look at this candle here, you can see you've got very high delta, open interest virtually flat. I'm sure you guys can see that here. I'm talking about this 3.8 million delta candle here with a negative 172k. It just doesn't really correlate, and they don't always correlate, but when they are so different like this is, there is positions changing hands there. And then in the candle, which gives us the huge wick and then comes back down and closes pretty much around where it is open. When you have those huge fast wicks, that's a very telling sign, because it shows you that there's a lot of there's a lot of selling pressure up there, and really it was just taking out a load of traders. And then you've got your finished auction up there as well, and there's positions changing hands here. Granted, not a huge difference compared to this one here. Times wise, this is, what's that, like nearly 40 times, 20 times almost. It's half, but there's certainly positions changing hands here. And the fact that you've closed back down here, you then start to get your selling imbalances in the next candle. You've got multiple reasons here to take a trade. The fact that you've had that huge wick and then closed, lingered for a little bit, gives you time to get into the trade if you are about and able to look at it. And then you're able to really get in before any of the moves really start to nuke it down, which we have. But then the interesting thing about what has occurred since then is, well, first of all, I want to go and look at the golden pocket. The golden pocket that was initially made. So this is quite a bearish situation, actually. So I've got my full, I call it the basic one. It's got all the levels that I really like to watch on it. Now, we rejected from the low, from the 0.382. That is a very bearish sign when that occurs. So you have to be aware of that. I was waiting for the golden pocket, hoping for the golden pocket, because you've got, this is the 30-minute PVA there, 15-minute PVA there. You've got so many things there on that golden pocket at that time, which, if it was just to get there, would have been amazing for someone that's missed the trade. But we didn't get it. And why didn't we get it? Well, you really have to go and look at the order flow, because looking at the move here, what can you see after you've had that bounce up? You had a ton of buyers entering in this region, a ton of buyers entering at the top. Delta has actually been pretty flat and downwards. I'm ignoring this section of the price for now. I'll go over that in a second. But really the delta was pretty flat in this region, pretty flat. You've had rather large spikes in open interest, and with that little bump in delta there, it just shows you that there was loads of buyers in here. Maybe some of them got stopped out here, but ultimately when they failed to really push it higher above the VWAP in this point and above that 0.382, and then we rejected that, you have to look to take out those buys. The 0.382 is a bearish, fib number for a reason. And if you reject from there, you have to look for the low to be taken again. And that's why you've come and taken the low here. But then in this instance, you're having more buyers coming in in this section of the chart. And the sellers are really in control here. The shorts are really in control. With that being the case, you can kind of expect for both sides of the market to be taken out, which is what I'm kind of hoping for here. So that gives me a really good entry for a short, but I'm not holding my breath. If we do start to lose, the golden pocket, that could be a hedge-worthy location. Well, I'd say the weekly open just to be safe. Looking at it, I don't have my key levels on here, or it's not showing me the weekly open for some reason, but I believe it's in this section, the chart here. If you start to lose that section, you're going to be looking for these targets here. There's nothing in between. So with that being said, you can start to hedge here if you've missed the shorts, which I have, and I am now rather annoyed, but is what it is. But yeah, right now you've taken out the longs. Okay, this huge wick here, 48 million. That's a very high amount of volume, considering what we've really been getting. Huge drop in the open interest, huge negative delta. That is straight longs getting taken out. If we can start to get above this bit of price action here on the charts, let's say for safety, 24,800, because it's been a pretty key region on the charts in the past few days to hold and try and stay above. If it can hold, you'd put it in a box. You'd probably see 24,800 to 24,600. Get back in there and get above this section on the chart. Then you can look for higher prices, because as you can see, open interest has been very up, and there has been a steady decline in this delta. So if you get above that region on the charts, you've got the trap shorts. Similar situation to what you had here, but maybe on a bigger scale, because maybe there's maybe not so independent shorts that have entered, like the 3 million that was back here, which was just an obvious fool of a trader. But you've had like multiple shorts enter in this section of the chart. So you could expect a bigger move if you were to get above that 24,800. You've just got to get there. And right now, the buyers, they are trying, but they're immediately getting put underwater. So when that's the case, they're not really pushing the price higher. They're getting put underwater. It's just not a good look. So it really has to sort out. The buyers really have to pull through. But clearly, there's a lot of selling here. The fact you've had all this buying, there's quite a lot of increase in open interest and quite a lot of positive delta. The fact you're getting this and they're really struggling, it's not a good look. So right now, really looking at this, the fact we've put them underwater already, it's not a good look, and you'd expect it to come back down and probably lose the golden pocket and test the weekly open. But if it can get above that region on the charts, let's not forget it, it's going to look pretty good. So right now, with currently what we've got, leaning on the bearish side, if it can get above the VWAP and that 24,800 region, it's going to look pretty good. So yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at the market. I don't believe we've got any single prints. No, we won't have. But yeah, I've not really got anything else to mention, Magix. So message him on here when I'm done. It's probably living in the middle of nowhere.
You're good. I see you. I got the earbud in. I can hear you on the public stream, but I can't hear you through my computer because it's. I know. I've been talking about switching up my internet guy for a while, and we'll see. I'm gonna mute that now because I can hear myself talking, and that's weird. And I'll unmute the computer, so we'll just talk in broken English. Yeah, no, I agree. You do need to be hanging on to the weekly open, and one thing to look at as well is that we had, when we pull a range like this, you guys know how much we like the VWAP. Obviously, you've got a few to be aware of. Obviously, this is your daily VWAP, but this is your anchored VWAP for the range. If you were just to set it for this range, you can see it's getting things fairly well. And that's actually what you're hanging on to. So again, you start breaking below this low here, like 24,469.50, give or take. Yeah, you're probably going to see 283. maybe even a hair below it. And again, as Max was alluding to, I agree. If you start breaking down from this region, you're probably going to see these lows. There's, like he said, effectively, there's nothing down here. So just be cautious. But in terms of, the levels, it's just like we were talking about. He's, 24,800 region, 24,700 for me, getting rid of this stuff, just cleaning it up so you can just view only that. You can see this is going to be the level to get back above. You get back above it and you start living here, things do look better. And I start to target a move back up into this region, which we've, it's what we've been doing this whole time and in this range. So that's how I would view that. And that would be basically just targeting the range highs, which come in right around 25,000, like 80, 25K, nice $300 move at that time. It's difficult to want to take a trade from this region because it's the middle of the range. And you know how we say, don't diddle in the middle, but sometimes if you're on a day trade, it's okay if the setup is there. You got to take the setup, right? So we'll see what we get. We'll see if these levels hold. You could see that you've swung fail at 24,550, and then again came down and took the low at 24,469. So going to want to see this little pocket being held on to. Otherwise, weekly open is coming, maybe even lower over time. I've got nothing else as well. I mean, we've looked at the SPX. We will look at DXY, actually. We'll take a look at the DXY real quick. I don't think we're going to get much out of this. To me, the DXY is still at support. So I'm still cautious on this because this is potentially support that if it gets flipped into resistance, I might tune. Obviously, we'd be breaking down from our trend as well. So that would be something to, bear in mind, so to speak. But I do think that we maybe, how do you decipher what goes into your spot? Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. In terms of, what you're looking at here, I doubt we get resolution like the DXY pumps to back above like 104 or drops below this like 103.65 level before tomorrow's FOMC minutes, because I think that's, likely what we'll see. So it may just be a boring day. It may be a boring day up here and hit support and just root around right here before the minutes tomorrow. But occasionally we do get drops or into the meeting, and generally those are moves we get to fade once the news is out, right? So, and it's always there in order flow. You can always see the reversal happening. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're in no position, there will likely be an opportunity, whether it's to the upside here or the downside coming in the near future. So just mark your levels, set your alerts, and then you have to be able to take the trade with actionable information when it comes. In terms of this question, we'll go ahead and answer that. How do you decipher what goes into your spot and which goes on to Bybit derivatives plays? Is it as simple as coins you wouldn't mind holding goes spot? Yeah, kind of. I mean, everybody's going to be a little different. I've got a fairly, I wouldn't say it was like a fairly large portfolio, but I mean, it's not small. So I do divide it up by percentage. I actually don't trade as far as like day trading, anything with leverage with more than 20% of my overall capital. That means in not just one account, across all accounts that I have. So that includes like swing accounts. Now, one of my swing accounts, yeah, some of them do have more than that in there, but those are more macro swings where I've really, okay, I'm taking a position for the long term, not just like a week trade or something. Like, there's swing trading, and then there's like macro swing trading where I could be holding this position for 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a year in some cases. So that's how that goes into it. For a main swing, like get like 40K back in April of last year, I believe. That was a pretty good amount of coin. It was 15% of my over capital for me as a person in one trade. So that was a good amount to have in there for me. Now, in terms of like if it was a smaller portfolio, that's really up to you to decide how you're playing it. If you're playing spot swings and you're swing trading, like we talked about the LRC setup yesterday, or whatever you may be looking at, I wouldn't personally put all my money into a trade like that, but I know certain people, you can make a justification for it. As long as it's spot, and if it's on the exchange, you have to be willing to pull that money off at some point. If you're like, okay, I'm going to hold these coins through the next bull market. Like you mentioned yesterday, you were in what was it, Solana, and it sounds like you rode that one for a while. If that is the case, then yeah, you may consider pulling that stuff off into like a holding area for yourself and then uploading back to the exchange when you're ready to take profits. But that's like a completely different market set at that point. Like to hedge short, you obviously have to have capital on the exchange. You can't do that from a spot wallet. So you have to keep that in mind, what type of market you're in. So that will affect how much capital is on exchange for me as well, because I do swing a lot of Bitcoin spot. Primarily, a lot of it is spot Bitcoin. But if I'm buying altcoins, like my Matic, I did pull. But if it's something like, you know, XRP, I don't hold XRP. I do trade XRP. So anything I have in an XRP trade is on the exchange because I'm planning to close that position. So Max is
He's
shaking his head
holding
about the
XRP all the time.
yeah,
He says he's got big Bitcoin
I trade XRP.
positions. He's got big
I will,
XRP positions.
dude. I'm an XRP maxi. I've got millions of XRP. I could, that'd be fun, but no, it's not.
Might as well YOLO.
I'd be living that YOLO life. I hope that helps. It's a really, really difficult question to answer because it is where what I'm doing might work for you. You know, just like what Max is doing is probably different from me. So you do have to figure out what kind of tolerance you have, how much trust you have in the exchange. You know, I've joked that I would make videos reviewing exchanges, and I've considered it, but I also don't want to be one of those guys that when I'm reviewing the exchanges and giving them grades that, you know, then people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to get on the exchange and leverage trade. So it's a double-edged sword. I think leverage is great. Like on Bybit, I use Bybit obviously, but again, I don't upload all of my capital. I do a certain percentage of it, and it's got a specific use. You know, the only time it did me, and Max knows about this, is that I was buying Bitcoin at like 18K in the last range and it dumped. And because they don't have KYC for the US guys, I wasn't able to get my capital off. You can only withdraw a certain amount when you're not KYC. So I couldn't actually get that Bitcoin off of there in time. And so that's what I went into that 16.6 long with. And so now, not only have I, you know, obviously recovered the losses in spot, I've actually made quite a bit of profit. That'll be the one trade I could take this year and I could just be good, you know? So that panned out very well in the long run, but I definitely didn't like capitulate and sell and, you know, do anything at the lows when it was dumping, because that's not the way to trade. Always another opportunity, and that's how I took it. So I transfer all my spot holding over to my wallet as soon as I get over 10%. There you go. That's a good rule of thumb. If that's what you're comfortable with, go for it. I don't really have anything else to add. I'm going to cut the stream. I'm not in any positions. However, I am going to start gauging. If we see that weekly open area, I will take a look in that like little box that we lined up here at the bottom of the range at 24,170.50 to 24,283. If that's reached, you know, the reaction's good, I might take a scalp long and see what happens with that. But if the reaction is just a non-reaction, then, you know, a lot of times when you front run these levels like this and then you kind of root around above them, you're either going to get a nice clean SFP into the port that you were looking for, or it's just going to go right through it. You know, that's typically how that goes. So we'll see what happens in that case. But my alerts are set and I've got no more dog poop to clean up. So I effectively have a free morning until about 3 o'clock when my dog's here to go to dance. So if you don't have any more questions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop off. This week, whether it's CVO, myself, we are going to host a newbie class. There's a lot of new members in the group over the last week or two. And so I'm getting frequent questions in my DMs about, you know, stuff that getting started basically is the issue, you know, because there's a lot of levels you can put on your chart. So it's important to kind of weed through and determine which ones are going to be the most important. So we'll probably do a B class this week, whether it's myself or CEO, and we will set that up so that you guys are on your way. So Max has already put it up there. If you're wanting to get into the Discord, there is a QR code up in the left hand. Go ahead and just scan it with your phone. It'll add you to the Discord. And if you're interested in our education services, if you're interested in the it takes you to the website. That'll get you in the Discord too. Okay, you can get in the Discord through the website. Excuse me, and then also if you're interested in the educational services, those are on the website. Okay, so if there's any questions, just join the Discord. Hit us in the general public chat. And we will catch you guys in the next one.